Welcome, messy loves. Get comfortable. This story starts sweet and ends messy. Let's get right into it. Everyone loves to talk about new relationships, the butterflies, the late night calls, the plans for the future. No one prepares you for what it feels like when the person you thought you knew vanishes without a trace. That's what happened to me, and telling the story helps me process it. To protect everyone's privacy, I'm going to use pseudonyms. I'm Mia, 25. The man I dated for a year, I'll call Jake, 27. Here's what really happened when he disappeared for 3 months and then tried to walk back into my life as if nothing had changed. Jake and I met through friends at a concert. He was tall, charming, and funny in that dry kind of way that made you lean in to hear his punchlines. He made a point of asking me questions and remembered the little things, like the fact that I love chia lattes with almond milk. Within weeks, we were inseparable. Weekend brunches, movie marathons, long drives with no destination. He met my parents after only 3 months. My mom declared him the one because he offered to help her slice vegetables while my dad watched football. He told me he'd never connected with someone this deeply, and I believed him. For the first 11 months, he was consistently present. He'd text good morning every day, sometimes with a joke. Rise and shine, sunshine. He called me during his lunch break just to hear my voice. If I didn't respond right away, he'd send a second message. Hey, you okay? When I told him about a stressful week at work, he showed up with takeout from my favorite Thai place and insisted we watch silly comedies to take my mind off of things. On weekends, we'd explore new neighborhoods or cook dinner at my apartment. He said he loved that I danced while stirring pasta. If I asked him to join, he'd dramatically twirl me around the kitchen. My friends commented on how happy I seemed. Even my brother, who was notoriously protective, grudgingly admitted that Jake seemed like a good guy. The relationship felt solid, like something you could build on. Then, in month 12, Jake started to pull away in subtle ways. He'd respond to texts hours later with, "Sorry, busy day." He canceled the date because he had to work late, even though he'd previously bragged about having an easy week. When I asked what was going on, he smiled and said, "Just swamped at work, babe. Don't overthink it." That phrase, "don't overthink it," became his go-to whenever I asked him to clarify something. He mentioned that he might have to travel soon for a family emergency, but he didn't elaborate either. I chalked it up to stress, but a knot had started to form in my stomach. On a Thursday in early spring, I sent Jake my usual "good morning" text. Hours went by with no response. I brushed it off. Maybe he slept in. By that afternoon, after I'd texted again with, "How's your day?" and still heard nothing, I called. It went straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. Maybe he forgot to charge his phone, my coworker suggested. That night, I drove by his apartment. His car was gone. I texted him again. "Everything okay?" No answer. The next morning, still nothing. I called his office number. A receptionist told me that he wasn't in. When I asked if he was traveling, she hesitated, and then she said, "Jake resigned this week. I'm sorry, I thought he would tell his contacts." Panic tightened my chest. He hadn't mentioned quitting his job. That evening, I drove to his place again. I knocked, pressed the buzzer, waited. Silence. His roommate eventually answered and looked uncomfortable when he saw me. He left a couple days ago. He said he had some family stuff to handle. He didn't say where. I stared at him in disbelief. "Do you have any idea when he'll be back?" He shook his head. "No idea. He said he'd be gone for a while." That first week turned into frantic searching. I called Jake's phone repeatedly, leaving voicemails that ranged from worried, "Hey, I'm really concerned. Are you okay?" to angry, "You can't just disappear. Pick up your damn phone." Each call went straight to voicemail. I drove to his parents' house after work. His mom opened the door with red-rimmed eyes. "Hi, Mia," she said. "Jake isn't here." I felt my eyes sting. "Do you know where he is?" She hesitated. He had to go away for a bit. That's all I know. He didn't want to worry you. She squeezed my hand like she meant to comfort me, but her vagueness only heightened my anxiety. Did something happen? She repeated, he just needs some time. She closed the door gently as if ending the conversation. So this is where you just let it go. Just leave him alone. Just let it go. Clearly, everybody he deemed important knows where he is and that he was leaving. He did not deem you important, so he didn't tell you. Or he's a coward and didn't want to face the questioning. So it's going to hurt, but at this point, you'll leave it alone. I called his best friend Mark. Dude, where's Jake? Mark sighed. Honestly, Mia, I don't know the details. He mentioned something about needing to clear his head and deal with some family stuff. He told me not to tell anyone. He didn't tell me! We've been together for a year! Yeah, he didn't want to worry you. Give him a little space? For 2 weeks straight, I woke up every day hoping to see a missed call or a message. Nothing. Every day that passed without hearing from him chipped away at my hope and fed my anger. I stopped eating. I hardly slept. My friends rallied around me. My best friend Lisa practically moved into my apartment to make sure I wasn't spiraling. Look, girl, if he's just ghosting, he's trash. And if something bad happened, then we'll find out. Either way, you can't drive yourself crazy with this. After a month, despair turned into bitter clarity. If Jake were in trouble, someone would have told me by now. His mom's vague responses felt like she was covering for him. His friends dodged my calls. I started to think he hadn't pulled away by crisis. He had chosen to leave. Maybe he'd been planning it when he quit his job without telling me. Maybe the work stress was a lie he crafted to justify his emotional distance. Maybe he had reconnected with an ex. The theories were driving me crazy. The only constant was that he hadn't cared enough to give me a heads up. Around this time, Lisa sent me a screenshot she'd been sent by a mutual acquaintance. A picture of Jake at a beach bar in another city, laughing with a woman draped over his lap. The caption read, "Living my best life." The post was dated 2 weeks into his disappearance. There he was, drinking margaritas, looking carefree, while I lay awake wondering if he was dead. I zoomed in on his face as if I could read his thoughts through pixels. He looked fine. No sign of grief, no sign of turmoil, no sign of a care in the world of what he'd been putting me through. Just a guy on vacation with his arm around someone who wasn't me. Fury overtook sadness. I felt like a fool for leaving 12 voicemails. What was wrong with me? I wondered how many times he'd laughed at his phone vibrating with my name while he sipped his drink. The next day, I packaged the hoodie he'd left at my place and dropped it at his parents' doorstep with a note that read, "Since you know where he is, give him this. I'm done." Time dragged. Weeks blurred together. I went to work, took long walks, saw a therapist, and slowly stopped expecting his name to pop up on my screen. I started sleeping through the night. I hung out with Lisa and my brother, rediscovering life without constant good morning texts. I unfollowed his social media accounts to avoid being blindsided by posts from his new vacation spots. Why didn't she see that post that her friend had seen if she was on his social media? I didn't exactly move on, but I was moving forward. And then, 3 months to the day after he vanished, my phone buzzed with a message from an unsaved number. "Hey, it read, 'How are you?'" I stared at it in disbelief. 3 months of radio silence, and his first words were, "Hey, how are you?" My vision blurred as anger surged. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Lisa, who was sitting next to me, grabbed it out of my hand. "Are you kidding me? That's what he says?" I took the phone back, fingers trembling. I typed nothing. 2 minutes later, a second message came in. I miss you. Can we talk? I didn't respond. My mind raced with possible replies. Should I go with sarcasm? Should I be unfeeling and uncaring? Should I be pleading? But I couldn't bring myself to engage. Lisa asked, what are you going to do? He has the audacity to come back with a, hey, block him. I shook my head. He'll call. He'll keep trying. I want to hear what excuse he thinks will work. So I left the message right there, unread. Over the next 24 hours, my phone pinged repeatedly. Jake sent messages like, I'm so sorry, you deserve an explanation. And please pick up. It wasn't what you think. He called from unknown numbers. He sent an email saying, please read this, where he claimed he had been dealing with severe depression and didn't want to drag me down. Part of what he wrote said, I didn't want to burden you with my darkness. I lost my job and felt like a failure. My dad needed help at home, and I didn't know how to tell you because I felt ashamed. He said he threw himself into party life to numb the pain. He wrote that seeing me would have made it harder to leave again, and that he needed time to find himself. And he ended with, I didn't contact you because I didn't want to hurt you. I know I hurt you anyway. Please let me explain in person. First of all, you're already lying because your job said you resigned. You're telling her that you lost your job. Red flag number 365. Reading his email, I felt my jaw clench. He had painted himself as a tragic hero protecting me from his darkness, while simultaneously posting beach photos with another woman. He hadn't answered my calls when I feared he was dead, but he claimed silence was an act of love. It felt manipulative. I forwarded the email to Lisa with the subject line, look at this bullshit. She replied with a voice memo, wow, he's so noble for ignoring you while sleeping with someone else. What a man. Against my better judgment, a week later, I agreed to meet Jake for closure. Why? You already had closure. Your closure was that you had moved on. Just be honest. You wanted to meet him to find out in person what he had to say because, here I am reading your story, so I'm not knocking you, trust me, because we all want you to do it for the plot. But, to be honest, you had closure. So if I was your friend or your family or somebody, I would tell you don't go. But if I'm a podcaster reading your story, then yeah, I'm going to say do it for the plot. My therapist said it might help to hear him out so I wouldn't romanticize him later or wonder, what if? We met in a crowded coffee shop, a neutral place where it felt safe. When he walked in, he looked thinner and had grown a beard. He flashed a tentative smile as if expecting me to melt. I didn't. So, where have you been? He sighed dramatically like, it's been rough, Mia. I lost my job, my dad got sick, and I spiraled. I felt like nothing I did was enough. I didn't want to drag you into my darkness. I just shut down. I'm so sorry. He looked into my eyes as if searching for sympathy. Why didn't you answer my calls? You could have at least sent one text. He rubbed his forehead. I was ashamed. And my phone broke. And I didn't have your number memorized. My eyebrow shot up. Your phone broke, huh? You managed to post beach pictures. He looked surprised. Yeah, well, I was with friends. They set me up. Now he started to avoid my gaze. Huh. Who was that girl in your lap then? His eyes got wide. Just a friend? We went out drinking. It meant nothing. So, did you sleep with her? He hesitated just a second too long. It was just a rebound. I was numb. I know it looks bad, but it didn't mean anything. Well, just so you know, you hurt me. You chose to disappear. You could have told me that you needed space. You could have said you were going through something. Instead, you quit your job, left town, partied, and let me think that you were missing, or worse. Then you come back here with, hey, how are you? Do you understand how insulting this is? He looked down at his hands. I messed up. I thought about texting you. I didn't know what to say. He reached across the table for my hand. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. He flinched. Well, I've been in therapy, he said. I realize now that I self-sabotage. I push away the things that are good for me. Can you give me another chance? I know we could fix this. At this point, I would just start laughing hysterically. No. I stared at him. In my head flashed all the nights I laid awake crying, all the calls he ignored, the image of him with another woman. No, we can't fix this. You don't ghost someone you love. You don't ignore them when you think you might be dead. You don't ignore them when they think you might be dead. You are selfish. The only reason you're even here now is because your other life didn't fulfill you. I deserve better than being an option you pick when you're bored. He looked shocked. So, that's it? You won't even let me make it up to you? Pfft, no, you already choose. You just didn't have the courage to tell me. I stood up. He reached out again, but I stepped back. Goodbye, Jake. Walking out of that cafe felt like stepping into sunlight after months in a storm cellar. I felt lighter. Lisa waited outside with a latte, ready to debrief. How'd it go? She asked. Girl, he's a master manipulator. I then told her about all the excuses he gave me. She laughed and shook her head. Girl, you dodged a bullet. When I told my brother about the meeting, he clenched his jaw. If he comes near you again, I'll handle it. My mom hugged me and apologized for being so enthusiastic about him. We live and we learn, she said. My dad simply nodded and said, next time, we're doing a background check. Interestingly, a few of Jake's friends reached out to apologize on his behalf. One messaged me, I'm sorry he hurt you. He's been doing this to women for years, disappearing when things got real. I hope you heal. That message actually gave me closure, more closure than me going to meet Jake. It made sense. This wasn't about me not being enough. It was about him being unable to commit, being a coward. Knowing that kept me from internalizing his actions as a reflection of my worth. Even if you didn't know that, even if nobody ever said anything to you, you shouldn't have internalized his actions, what he chose to do, as a reflection of your worth. Because even if he felt like you were unworthy of him, he was unworthy of you. That has nothing to do with your worth. That has everything to do with what kind of person he is. Jake continued to text for a while, sending late night messages like, I can't stop thinking about you. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I didn't respond. Eventually, the messages stopped. I blocked his number for good. I blocked his email. I blocked the social accounts he could use to reach me. I wanted to leave no door for him to slip through. Looking back, there were probably signs that Jake was capable of ghosting. He often joked about hating confrontation. He told stories of quitting jobs without notice. He mentioned that he didn't really believe in labels until he met me. But I chalked those things up to being carefree. I ignored the red flags because I wanted a fairy tale to work. The experience taught me to pay attention when someone dodges accountability. It taught me that if someone disappears once, they're probably going to do it again. It taught me that someone who loves you will communicate, even when it's uncomfortable. Now, don't get me wrong. My healing process wasn't linear. There were days when I missed the person that I thought he was and wondered if I'd been too harsh. But then I'd remind myself of those 3 months and the way he tried to rewrite the narrative. I remember the look in his eyes when he lied about his phone break-in. That kept me grounded. I focused on rebuilding my own life, picking up hobbies I'd neglected, recounting with old friends, traveling with Lisa. I even enjoyed a pottery class because working with clay helped make me feel like I was in control of something again. So that's the full story on how Jake ghosted me for 3 months and then tried to stroll back in with a casual, hey, how's it going? There were lies, omissions, manipulative apologies, and a lot of sleepless nights. I chose to block him and move on because I deserve a partner who communicates, not one who vanishes when life gets messy. If you're reading this because you're in a similar situation, well, I'm reading it to you and anybody who is in a similar situation. Please know that someone else's inability to be honest is not a reflection of your worth. You are allowed to walk away without hearing the excuses. If anything else happens, if Drake tries to reach out again, or if his story somehow intersects with mine, I'll be sure to update. But hopefully this chapter is closed and I'm on to better things. Well, that was a happy ending. I'm so happy that she found her worth. I'm happy that she didn't make this define her. And I'm absolutely happy that she didn't go back to him, because some people would have gone back. I've never had someone ghost me before, so I'm not sure how I would react. But let me know, have you been ghosted and what did you do? Let me know your stories in the comments below. I want to thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and share, because tea is always better with friends. Remember that these stories are based on true events. Name, dates, locations, and certain scenarios may have been changed to protect the OP. Thanks for listening. As usual, I hope this story helps someone out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.